Beloved, this is the Culture and Camaraderie podcast with not your typical and lax error.
Tiberius Damadici.
You already know what it is.
Look. When you're setting these things up, you need to be prepared for all contingencies. You need to have contingency plans.
For the contingencies,
and never assume the other person has all the things that they need to get it going. So, but we're here. We're ready. That's in the past.
It's in the past?
Yeah, it is now.
Okay.
As of 5 minutes ago.
Literally, yeah, we had our pre-production meeting didn't go as planned. So we're here now. If anything sounds,
how you been though? How's the week been, man?
How's the week been? It's been an odd week. Obviously, I've been relaxing, putting myself in the zone, whatnot, and I done some great work. I done around 10, 15 blogs ready to, not blogs, but they're articles, but they're in blog form right now, ready to get set up for an actual production. So I've really been working, properly working. And a lot of people have been annoying this week. And it's like...
Oh, yeah, I saw some of your posts.
It's like, first of all, it's like, who sent you? And then second of all, it's like, I don't have the time and I'm not obligated to have this conversation with you. And if you really wanted to have this conversation, we would both actually speak on the phone, but that's not what's happening right now. You're texting me, and I hate texting, and I don't want to text you
I ain't
because
got time for any of that.
Because it's
any of that mess. Oh, I just can't do it
because it occupies my hands, and my hands are the things that I use to write my blogs. I love talking. I love talking on the phone or on FaceTime while I'm doing my work. That's amazing.
I feel in the past year you've been getting wrapped up in so much things like this though. You've been getting involved in a lot of things where you're just like, what? Why? You know what I mean? Because all the times I've seen you most stressed it's because someone has pissed you off in a certain way, or they've done something that's made you you've given them an inch and they've taken a mile, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I find that interesting.
That's been happening to me since the beginning.
But that's the interesting thing, because of who you are. That's why whenever I see you get so annoyed about it, the way you deal with it is interesting. From my perspective. What's interesting is because in my mind, I would assume, because with a lot of things you handle them well. You just be like, oh, that's that, move on, get things done. You know what I mean? But with this, it's I'd see it actually. It pisses you off a different way.
Because I care about humans, fam.
Yeah.
I care about who humans are, how they feel. I feel what other people feel. So it's how can you mismatch my energy? And
but you've got to expect. But that's what I mean. It's an expectations thing.
I don't expect anything. If anything, I expect people to disappoint me more than me being surprised at them doing something good.
Yeah, but if you saying that, but then when they do, I see how it still. You know what I mean? I just find it interesting. I don't think it's good. I'm not necessarily it's good or bad. I just find it interesting, and it's a good in a lot of ways. It's true. It's a good thing, because it's the people you work with. It shows you actually.
Well, people
at
think
one
I
point
don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's the interesting thing. That's the interesting thing.
I love people and I care a lot. And and when stuff like this happens, it's you obviously don't know me to be speaking to me like this, because it's see, the texture of my character is telling me to say something, but it's actually because at the end, I hate the thought of that I have to have enemies or be a menace. It's kind of weird, because let's actually, because this conversation is a bit, you know what I mean? Where do I send this? Basically, that's just the thing that's the thing that's with me. It's I give everybody this positivity, or it's not even positive, it's affection. That's what I do. I'm affectionate and I'm caring with the way that I relate to people and translate my ideas, and I pass them over with care. And people don't understand the level of care and detail that I actually put in. So much like there's a Take Back Your Time movement, there's me taking my credit movement, because I'm noticing that if I don't take it, people aren't going to give it to me. And at the end of the day, it's like, you can say it wasn't me, but
it's the same thing with picking yourself up.
Then when you disappear, and then you thought that the source was all yours, and then you realize that it was actually something to do with me, then now you're in disparity. This is the problem.
I got a weird view on stuff like that, though, because I feel like if you're making good work and you're like actively putting it out there.
Who are you talking about?
Just you and
me?
Just people in general.
People in general.
If you're disseminating your own ideas and that's your own thesis and you're putting that work in, and if someone's like copying that or taking from that, there's all these sort of legal routes or that you could go down, but like the fact of the matter is there's not really much you can do about it. If someone's taking control, like trying to copy what you're doing with the ideas that you're putting out there and disseminating, all you can do is just keep moving forward, because no one's going to be able to do you better than you at the end of the day, regardless.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
And I fully get that. And at the same time, it's like, why are you competing with something that you can't compete with? This is my problem.
Then what exactly? Well,
this is my problem with other creatives. Like, well, like I want to understand why someone would want to compete as a creative. There's no competition. Well, there's no competition.
There isn't. But that's the funny thing. It's because, you know, when you see, it's like, for example, when you see rappers that are in like the sort of upper echelon, they're the people in the throne at the moment. Mm-hmm. You get so wrapped up with what it is now and where they are now, it's hard to imagine anyone else taking their spot. You know what I mean? It's like you even people who come under them or come after, you compare all those people after them to those people's lanes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
So the reason you do that is because it's I think in large part, and is because I know I've done it a lot myself. I think when we have conversations or we see creatives that we like, new creatives, we all tend to do it. We all talk, it reminds me of a bit of this and a bit of that, because...
Who? I've never done that.
You've never done that. You've said it's kind of like this and that. You've never compared... You've never, when you've seen a creative, they've not reminded you of another artist or given you... And you've not described them as another artist, just to give you context. It's not that you're necessarily saying they are like those people, but you might use those terms to describe another artist and creative.
Only if I'm describing it to someone else. Like I don't listen.
That's the point.
I don't listen to an artist myself and think, oh, this person reminds me of.
I don't do that, but I'm saying in conversation, and with conversation, that's what happens in the broader scheme of things. As creatives, we think a bit differently, not just from other people, but from each other as well. But we still, when we are speaking to other people like that, as a creative, there's a lot of people who are especially just...
Though?
Huh?
Like, I'm an artist.
That's it. Creative? For me, it's
no, it's not the same thing. I've already created a separation in my mind. Like,
okay, I know what you mean.
There's not, like...
I know what you mean.
I'm...
Okay, so what would you describe as an artist?
Man,
what would
I feel
you
like
describe
my
an artist
frustrations are coming out through this podcast, and this isn't the type of stuff that I usually like to do, but this is becoming a therapy session. Look, me personally, I'm an artist.
Okay, what do you describe as an artist?
There's a space, right? There's this space where, because I described this to you when we were on co-op, this is how it is in my mind. There's a space where all ideas live. Mm-hmm. Nothing new or old, only borrowed, those type of shit, right? And then I pull from the interspace and use my body as a channel to give to other people. So when I'm creating a thesis, and then spending years formulating this one substance, and then being able to give it in a 3-hour speech in Starbucks, or whether I'm talking about all of the black people that are doing very well, and I've been looking for the past 5-10 years, and then like going forward to see where everything could be. That is me pulling from a space that I've one is from the space in my mind where all ideas live, and the other is from research of the world and different people that live in the world with us. So I'm looking at the past to translate into the future, and I'm looking to the infinite substance to translate to present. Those are two different things, right? And that in itself is it's a spectacular vision. It's sport. Like, to me, that's all I do. That's how I live.
I get what you mean.
I live through those ideas.
I get what you mean. Like,
a creative,
it's someone who just makes things.
Will translate what's already there.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a logo? Okay. Because I can do creative stuff as well. You want a logo? Okay. But when we're talking about ideas, like real ideas, like stuff that nobody's heard of before, that is artistry.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But when you're talking about designing a couple things or making a layout, that's not artistry. That is like...
That's just the process of creating something.
Yeah. Like, and the funny thing is, like, let me even go into the tangent of people doing design on clothes, but you're not even thinking about placement. Like, it's cool to have a graphic on the clothes, but placement is also very important.
So would you... Okay. So would you say being an artist is the process of... through your creativity, telling a message.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what it is. That's like what you would essentially, like, in a nutshell, that's how you would define it. It's through.
I don't think I should debase it like that, because it's like.
But for you, because
we're talking about an infinite space where all things live, and then you're using your body as a vessel to translate that to the world. That is not exactly. It can be a vision. It can be whatever it is. But it's not. Sometimes there's no real message, maybe, but a lot of the times there is.
There could be no real message.
Like, there's like, because it's like thinking about life and translating, like, all the great philosophers or Einstein is like is the theory of relativity a message? Or is it a thesis on how things should be?
I feel like, I know there's a difference between a message and a thesis, but I see a thesis as a message. I know it's like an idea. A thesis is an idea based upon, like you're saying, pulling from the past and that
infinite space where all things live. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, that's so hard to pin that down. It's so hard to pin that or explain that in a way.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. That's artistry. That's the chaos of living. That's the chaos of life. Yeah. Literally, the order from chaos. Or everything. Yeah, exactly. See, all of our podcasts relate. You see, because you need to have the tools to be able to even articulate something like that. If you don't have the tools, if you can't even see, like, if you can't see what I was speaking about. If you can't see the infinite space where all things live and are created, then you won't even understand. I'll just be like speaking crazy, or like you'll probably think I'm fake deep or something. But literally, I close my eyes and I see things that are there. Wait, let me repeat that again. I close my eyes and I see things that are there, and I come back and I translate those ideas into life. Yeah. I breathe life into certain ideas. So it's like, but if I didn't have the tools, if I didn't have the articulation to write certain type of articles, to breed like certain types of ideas through my hard-earned research in technology, like coding, art history, world history, sociology, then I wouldn't understand how people translate to others and see where all of these great black people who are running businesses now would go. If I had no bearing, like if my mind didn't have any idea of all of these people who have worked before and how they're even relating to each other on social media and like the networks that they've created, then my mind wouldn't have the foggiest to what is happening in this world, in this England. So when I say Black Renaissance or the culture of the 20s, these aren't just things that I'm doing for fun. This is like, I researched the past 10 years. Yeah. I researched the past 10 years. I saw the signs, and I'm seeing the repetition, because at the end of the day, life has a pattern of repetition that if you're looking for it, you'll find it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that pattern doesn't end up exactly like you see it, but there's certain things that follow a pattern and it bears fruit. And you only need to look as far as investing in futures to say that this is what happens. Because people make bets on the future all the time. Oil futures, gold futures, whatever type of futures you want. And that is what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, what I'm doing is betting on people, not on the nature of an oil rig. Or a gold mine, or a salt mine even, or whether the harvest of potatoes are going to be in abundance this year.
That's the funny thing, like, because, like, because when I was watching that Tyler documentary, there was bare things where he was talking about these same sort of concepts. Okay, wait.
Can I just cut you off? Let's bring it to our space here.
Okay, yeah.
When I was talking to you in Starbucks,
yeah.
Was there anything that you heard like it before? With the way what I was explaining it. But it made sense as soon as I said it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I said it.
It's funny because when I said it, when we had that conversation, this was the funny thing. And because this is what sort of made me believe in that sort of ether, that the muse, that infinite space, is because just like when we was talking about Ortega and how that came and that went, that got pulled out. You know what I mean? We already pulled that out and we saw that get made. I
love using that as a reference point. Because that's the one that relates most.
Until now, it's like we talked about in the last episode, but until that point, when we was talking about, I'd been thinking about these things and ideas, and because the whole time I've been trying to make just an idea that I can put everything that I've been doing up until this point, or thinking about, or have created up until this point, into something that I can call, I don't want to say my life's work, but yeah, like something like that, which I can truly say is an idea that I've put together in all capacities and brought to life. It's like that, bringing that idea to life, and that conversation that we had about the thesis is kind of put it into words. Like the way you was talking about and explaining it, it made me go, oh, do you know what? Yeah. Like that makes that's the words I needed to explain the things I've kind of been thinking about, you know.
And that's basically because that's everything in a nutshell. Because we had this conversation before when other people vex me. It's like I don't know whether I've delivered so much, but there has been fruits that I've bared from the words that I've said. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I've never seen it. It's just that now I know exactly how it works. Mm-hmm. And that is what I care about the most, because...
Well, you know how what works?
How my mind... How I translate ideas.
How your mind works.
How when people say, oh, you're special or you're a genius and stuff, why they would say that. because to me that's the weirdest thing that you could say to me, because I'm not I didn't start out as book smart. I was theory heavy. Like, it wasn't until I read a lot of books, or until I not even read a lot of books, I learned a lot of words. I learned what words meant, and then I learned the power of words. Then I learned how to use words, and now I'm here.
Funny, that's another thing I got from you, actually. Every time I see a word now that I'm like, what does that mean? I'll go out of my way to search that up, and I save that. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing I always try and do. I'll search up, I'll screenshot it on my phone.
Yeah, fam.
Because it's so important, because...
Meaningful.
It's like, that's what I'm talking about, because I think a large part of why you was able to sort of explain and consolidate the ideas you've sort of come up with in the theories you're going to, is because it's large part because of that vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the structure.
And that's why when we had the conversations, it's like, oh yeah, having a thesis. Because that's the funny thing about words, man. It's like, you can hear a word. It's kind of like that thing of, like, you say butter a million times, it stops being a word, it's just a sound. Or you say, like, even if you say the word consolidate a million times, it just becomes a bunch of syllables instead of, like, it loses meaning. But if you, like, actually try to understand that word, the context, where it came from, where it originated from, that changes the whole idea behind vocabulary and the way you use words. And it can actually help solidify the ideas that you do have.
Yeah.
So it's important. So true.
Yeah, I just... Like, there's literally simple things like that is just, like, I think that everyone should have. I didn't make up words. I'm only a 20-something-year-old. Like, I don't... Yeah. Like, words have existed long before, and there will be new words after me. I didn't invent words, but when it comes to certain things that I've, like, brought to existence, I just feel like there's a real space for that. And that's why, like... That's one of my real reasons, like, that I would want to just get back into academia, because at the end of the day, I need to defend that thesis, and then that can get published, and then it will be mine, like, for real, and then that will be cemented in history. So that would be a real thing, right? But so it's
what would you say is your current? Because would you say you have more than just one thesis?
Of course.
Or is it like an overarching thesis? I guess that's what I'm asking. What would you say is your overarching thesis? That you would want to put into a paper or a book, or... No,
there's literally, because before I even told you everything that I said, it was like, this is what my second book is about. That was basically the reason for that conversation. It was like my second book. And those ideas are things that I'm going to actually publish in a book.
Okay, what, the thesis of having a thesis? Or having...
It's called something else.
But
I want to write the book.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Like, I actually want to sell the book. I want to make a living off the words that I speak sometimes. Like, anyways.
I'm just trying to give him a taster, you know?
No. Yeah, like, because, no, it's perfectly fine. Like, but it's literally, it's stuff that I've 3-4 years of my life. Like, literally, you've been there every single year. Like, me, from looking cruddy to, like, not having a computer, still studying, all the times that I didn't even have peas to travel to places.
Wait, how long didn't you have a computer for? Like a year?
Yeah, like 18 months, bruv.
Imagine,
and look at the way I'm working right now.
I didn't have mine. The most I've not had mine for 3 months. Oh my God, I couldn't.
Bro, and look at the pace. Look at the pace that I'm working at right now. Look at the pace that I'm working at right now. Imagine if I had a computer 18 months sooner.
So when was this big switch where you was like, oh, like when did it kick in? Would you say?
It kicked in when I was like
this level of, you was like, you know what? I'm not putting my foot on the pedal.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like you said like now look at the rate I'm on. Would you say this was because of your computer, or was it something else?
No, it's 100% because of my computer, because I needed a computer to do all things, whether it was like doing 3D design or doing architecture. I needed a computer. No matter what, like for me to work at 100% capacity, I need a computer. And even if I've got a phone,
well, because before you was doing the blog, you wasn't putting out this much content. Is what I'm saying. It's like before you wasn't putting out. I
had my blog 3 months before.
You got your computer back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
so that's why I asked. Was it because of computer?
In the month of my having a computer, the work rate tripled. So it's like the computer changed everything. It wasn't that I don't work hard.
Oh no! It's of course not. But because there's a difference between working hard, and because this is what I also wanted to talk about as well. It's like it's the zone, isn't it? It's that thing you talk about. It's the zone where it's like you're going just because of the amount of energy you've directed and focused and amassed. It compounds. You know what I mean? So because of that focus, you do more than you could have ever done before. Yeah. Because of that focus. It's like you focus so much. That's why when you see people like, it's like, for example, Tyler's going, yeah, I'm going to produce for like all the biggest artists. Like I'm going to do pop, I'm going to do rap, I'm going to make a film, I'm going to do this. And they're going to do it. And it's going to be, I can imagine Tyler making a great, the same thing with Flylo. Flying Lotus, he's working with some of the biggest directors, animators in Japan. And he's still making like world-class albums and music and working with world-class artists like Anderson .Paak, etc. And it's that thing when the focus sort of hits. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's
so like when okay, that's a better question. When would you say the zone kicked in?
I always had it, but I've like always neglected it. Sort of like I remember in uni, just like doing work and. Like learning super duper fast and then being like, oh, I've done this amount of work, and then like I just got bored, didn't it? And then because really and
why
truly,
did you get bored?
Why do I? Because everything ended up being too easy. Let me tell like the whole short story. Right, it was me. Everything that after I learned the skill, basically, it becomes easy. The thing that I'm doing becomes too easy, and then like I can switch in. Not switch on, but switch into whatever place that I need to do to work as fast as I can. Because what I do is I learn the skill, then I execute as fast as possible. That is the 2 levels that I've got. So, and when the pace is insane, I'm just like, I get so bored. And then that's what took me on to the trajectory of thinking, there's got to be harder stuff out there. So then I started learning economics. Then I started learning psychology. Then I started learning sociology. Then I just started looking at humans different and just like observing even more. Like before, when we were in art school, it was like you watch humans to just see how they walk, so that you can learn anatomy and see how different bodies move in different types of ways. And that's how you used to watch humans. But now it's like you watch conversations. And then that helped me with writing scripts. But
would you say that it was that would you say it was that made you move from animation, so to speak, or working
no, like what happened with animation is like everything got too expensive, and then they wasn't making it. No, they just like what they were trying to make wasn't new. It wasn't innovative. It wasn't like it wasn't me. Like the reason I went in
Hollywood's
there
it's a bit mad. It's like the Lion King film. It's like that's cool, but it's not like it's like even with Toy Story. I watched Toy Story. Like I was not compelled to. I saw the trailer. I was not compelled to watch Toy Story.
I didn't even know it came out, fam.
At all.
What? John Lasseter retired. Johnny Ive has left Apple. Like basically the 2 places I've wanted to work since out by the time I was 25 have like the 2 reasons that I wanted to be there are gone. Like John Lasseter left Pixar, and Johnny Ive, the like designer of the iPhone, basically has left. So the two people that have made completely new things, and like this is like one of those world end of things, because I was talking to you this about the other day, and then I'll short tangents now, I'll go back. It's like, do the things in the time that you need to do them, or else that moment is too fleeting and it will go away. And if I'd maybe stayed the course, if I decided that I wasn't gonna, because even right now I get bored of writing. We're able to do a podcast because I can execute this type of work extremely fast, and you can put this out extremely fast. And then it's like, because it will be 2 hours or 3 hours after this conversation, and then everything will be ready. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, what else do I do? Okay, I'll make 3 blogs. Okay, what else do I do? Okay, I'll make bare images for that blog. Okay, what else do I do? And then now I'm 3 months ahead. And then now I have to like start giving myself challenges. And that's where Prime Night came from, because it's like, I've got 41 blogs that I'm actually executing from August 22nd or something like that. And 41's a prime number. Prime, not your typical mash that together. And now now I've made it a thing, and like now I'm branding it, and it's only because like this work is gonna be able to get done before the week's end. Mm-hmm. And that's just my level. Like, and the thing is, here's the answer to your question, which was where I switched on was like, I had to realize within myself that I was gonna get bored, because there was a certain level of economics where I was just like, dude, this is boring, fam. My parents were like my parents were literally looking at me talking about these things, and like they were asking me why don't I go to school to learn this economics or like psychology and all of this stuff, and I was like, it's not really the point.
It's not.
It wasn't the point, and then
so weird.
And that's the extent to which I studied it, like privately. Like the books are there, the notes even are just like under your arm. It's like the point of me is to create, basically. I know I can be mergers and acquisitions, but that's not me. The point is to work to the best of my ability. And one of those fun things is like, writing articles on a website isn't gonna make me money precisely. It's not. That isn't the point. Like, making money from the website is not the point. Mm-hmm. So I don't plan to do that. It's the actual execution of solid ideas at a high level that is the point.
That's it, really, isn't
it? It's only the execution of high level ideas, high value ideas that people are gonna be able to look back on, because at the end of the day, in the past 6 months, there's not, I don't know, a 26-year-old below out there or 30-year-old below out there that has executed to that level out of everybody that I know. Let me just say,
personally,
personally, like I don't know anyone that's done as much work as I've done. I don't know anyone that works in front, that works ahead of time. I still don't know yet. And this isn't even me bragging on Boston. This is me like, this was a hurt on my inside. It was like, I was so upset that nobody was like me, or no one could even relate to what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, these are the cards that I've been dealt, sort of thing.
Yeah, you gotta roll with it.
So it's like, okay, let me just execute this hard, or else, because I'm gonna get bored, and then it's like.
But what's so good about, that's the funny thing though, but what's so good about doing that and like just focusing on bringing ideas to life?
Pardon?
What's so good about just focusing on bringing ideas to life?
I thought that was a question.
No. Yeah. What's so good about it is, no matter what you do, the medium doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The medium no longer matters. And with every single person who I respect creatively, like, or artistically, I should say.
Yeah.
That is the core. That's basically at the center what it is. There's a part of them. It's almost like they're trying to put something together.
Yeah,
they're trying to piece the puzzle together.
Yeah, remember.
And they're trying to overcome the ability to put that puzzle. It's not even overcome the ability to put that puzzle together, but it's the process of putting that puzzle together, which is, it's the thing.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people just have the codes that you want, and from the beginning, like
There's a really nice one. Sorry.
yeah, there's
Is that what is
it's behind you on the ground. Oh. It's the infuser.
Okay.
With Tyler, he was his message or his code in all of his music is like, be exceptional, be yourself. Be exceptionally yourself. And I heard that message from the beginning. And there are some utterances of him saying stuff like that from the beginning of, like, from his first tape, Bastard, like, and he has just been saying that, and it's only like when he's 25 now, he's 28 now, that he's able to like say it directly or say it in a way that's
he's
just
able
like
to articulate.
Yeah, and with me, like that was a funny thing. It's like I have only been able to articulate a small amount. Like I feel like it's only 20% that I'm hitting.
I don't even think I'm at that yet, but I feel like I feel like it's so weird. I feel like a blind man who's like visions, like you can just see light. That's how I feel right now. Like it's so weird because I think the thing that's sort of come together for me right now is this idea that I've been developing, and literally, bro, it's started to have a life of its own. That's how I know it's the embodiment of the energy and the essence that I
I know. What you're doing
exhibit.
is breathing life into an idea.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that is everything that I know you've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And every conversation we've had since, for the past 3 years or so, has been an attraction towards that. It's like an attraction towards understanding how you can breathe life into an idea, because this isn't the first idea that you've wanted to breathe life into. It's just the one that's engaging you right now.
It is. But you know, but that's the thing. All the other ideas that I've had, the last time I feel like I've had like a sort of 10-year gap.
What do you mean?
In my when I first picked up drawing, I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And that was when so great. This sits in my mind from the beginning of time. I remember me and Shahir, we used to sit next to each other in school. I was like 7 years old, and we had these art books. We were mad Dragon Ball Z guys. You know, it's like 7 years old.
Same.
That is your jam, bro. You're watching that at every chance. That was when you had Sky. Like what?
Yeah.
We're in the UK, so it's like
box,
you don't get it. You get it like on Cartoon Network at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once, like that's it. You know what I mean? One episode.
No reload.
So you're like
+1.
And what we used to do is I remember when we first got these new art books, we was like, let's draw some Dragon Ball Z characters. I can't even remember how the conversation started, but we've both drawn and made up our own like Dragon Ball Z characters on the front. And from that point, I was like, that was drawing for me. I was like, I remember the time I was like, I'm gonna do. I remember saying to myself at 7 years old, I remember saying this in my mind. I was like, I'm gonna do this more. I literally said it almost. I'm sure to a key like that. I'm gonna do this more. I remember thinking that, and it's so funny because as time evolved, I started making comics, little stickman comics, and telling stories and doing all these things. And I started, as I got better at drawing, I started actually fleshing out full-on stories and scenes and that I just made up. I didn't like, after I started, like, I'd copy loads of Goku and Majin Buu, but after that, I stopped really.
Yeah.
I stopped copying. I was just like, nah, I need to make my own. I started, my brain was going wild, yeah? I had all these little mini stories of, like power systems and structures for, like, societies and stuff like that. And that was all through up until about year 9, year 10, and then I started partying and stuff like that. And I'd do it here and there. I'd have like little ideas. I was still drawing all the way up until college. And I remember, I think Ortega was the last time I had an idea that had life in it. And even then, I feel like there was something missing from that didn't just... I was still learning a lot about structuring story and storyboarding and telling stories. Like I was at the beginning, I hadn't even been to uni yet. That uni was where everything sort of changed in terms of my skill set and my ability to draw and digital paint and storyboard properly, like in the professional context. But yeah, I wouldn't even say 10 year, maybe like a 6 year gap between it's like this is the first idea I've come where I've just got to think about it. It's like the protagonists and even the antagonists sort of came out of nowhere by themselves, and they make sense. And I can just think about it now, and I can see how they would interact.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like like I kind of like know and expect what these characters are gonna do and how they're gonna treat each other, and that's what's mad, because I'm even now imagining soundscapes, colors, like, and this is where. Like our time in college, I find that as the most. I realize now why I find that as the most valuable and best time of my actual childhood, because that was the time where I began on the path of being able to understand how to actually get better. It wasn't in the cleanest cut way. It wasn't in the most like direct way, but it was the essence of what it meant to get better. You know what I mean? Like studying, understanding, pulling. Things that excite you together and learning about things that under the theory of things.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so interesting because now, like with this idea, I can imagine soundscapes, I can imagine colours, I can imagine what the characters are gonna like, how they're gonna treat each other, how this world's gonna go and evolve, and what underneath it all these characters are trying to do and what it all says, and it's like it's cool. It's cool. And that's what I want. Like, I want to let it evolve naturally now and just create, and everything goes through this lens. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to think in a pretentious way or like trying to make something cool because it's like doing it because that's the idea. Like, the idea is out there now. Created the idea, not for anything else other than this idea needs to be made. You know what I mean? It's like you can see it so vividly, just make the damn thing.
Yeah? Genuinely, yeah. I get that.
My 2 cents.
All things considered, it's like it's not even an I thing, man. It's like but it is an I thing. It's the statement's gonna start with I. I just want us to be able to all work together.
Yeah.
Like, my message has always been, like, well, just like my direct message has always been collaboration and working together and all of these things. And, you know, as I say certain things, specifically speaking to creative people, just so I can see where their head's at with everything. And I see a lot of people recently anyways, it's like a lot of people are just focused on money and how much money they can make, and how much, like, and the ideas aren't even that fruitful. They're just like doing stuff with the intention of money, and then it's like that escapes the art of it all. And, you know, yeah, I know everybody has to live or like make rent. It's just, at the end of the day, art is a luxury. Art is actually a luxury. Like, if we were all trying to survive, like, literally, not with money, but like just survive, it's like there's no recording history. There's no recording the present. There's no breathing life into the future. There's literally only the existence right now. So when I think about art, I understand that I'm living a life of luxury. the luxury to be able to create is one of the biggest ones in the world. The luxury to be able to say, yeah, this is my idea for this thing. And the fact that your idea might not live longer than 15 years or the generation that it's in, it's like, that's just wild. It's like, it's kind of like, it's one of the things that came to me this year where I was like, if I'm going to work, it's got to be properly, because genuinely, we shouldn't be acting like anything that we're doing isn't luxurious. Because what we're creating or what we're making is stuff basically for us. Like, yeah, there can be a message.
Well, that's how it doesn't become
luxurious.
Yeah.
And
when you start thinking of it as not.
And for just the appeal. Like, when you start working with the appeal or something, and we start talking about Hollywood and the way that money is even distributed to certain ideas, it's like, I'm looking at a lot of luxury out here. Like, if the economy was going to collapse tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to get certain ideas out. And then what would we do then? Like, not everybody's going to want a £100 logo because they're pinching their pennies. Not everyone's going to want a £100 photo shoot because they're pinching their pennies. Not everyone's going to want a £100 portrait because they're pinching their pennies. What would you do then? It's like, yeah, got to make rent, but then if it was about survival and art is the reason that you breathe, what would you make? And would you be forcing people to pay you? Or would you even be asking money of people to create this thing? Because really and truly, if your art is worth that much, people will just give you the money in the beginning. People will tell you that, like those people came to you, didn't they? Like, for the project, we're on a podcast, you have to actually articulate.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. I'm here nodding like you.
Yeah. No, so those people came to you because of the art that you bought.
It's funny because
it wasn't because, oh, I'm looking for this job and I wanna make money.
It's part of what I was doing, part of my ideas.
Exactly.
It's from. That's why I believe it's. Oh, man.
So genuinely, let me just finish this point. It's like, what would you really be doing? And not gonna blow up your spot, but you got paid more than what anybody would ask for. A lot of the times when people are just making things for money. You got paid a price. Not saying that it's the price that you're worth necessarily, but you got paid much more than what somebody would ask for.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's my point. When you're doing your art for art's sake, because you didn't make that song for anybody else but you you did want enjoyment from it. You did want to be able to play it. You're obviously going to want a great listening experience from it. But at the end of the day, you made that piece of art and you concentrated it and then you gave it to the world and the world responded in kind. And someone said, this is the value I place onto you. And you're like, cool, okay, then I can accept that as a token. Not saying it's your absolute token, but at the end of the day, we're all starting out from somewhere. And when you're consistently asking, and people can see that you're making art for their attention so that you can grab a little and scrape a little coins from them, then you're losing the essence of what even makes you an art, what makes you a luxury. You're not a luxury anymore, you're a commodity. You commodified everything. You might as well be on Fiverr doing all of these things, trying to pinch pennies. You might as well be on all of these other sites trying to pinch pennies from people, because really, that well dries up. But guess what? The well at the top doesn't. The Medici family always had money. There are families that are always going to have money. So you can't have a renaissance of people, of creatives doing great things if they're cap in hand asking you to do something for them all the time. And that's like really where I'm at with it this year. It's like I've not been writing at any point so that anyone can call me wavy, or like people can ask me how much money I'm making. But guess what? People are reading my blogs and people are finding me to have great words put together. To say about things in life, and it's like, and that's not even all I ask for, but I'm happy to accept that. I'm happy to accept that people think that what I'm writing is of substance.
So do you think it's better to keep what you create and the way you earn money separate?
I don't know whether it's better or not. It's like
that's just how you feel.
That's just how I feel. It's like you can get money from what you create. That's exactly what happened with you.
Exactly, yeah.
But you didn't. You wasn't cap in hand.
I'm just trying. Yeah, no, of course.
You wasn't being like, oh, here's my list of things that I do for this amount, and then possibly even undercutting yourself, and then you commodified everything that you've done. No, I have a style that's mine, that is used for me, and if you want it, you come to me with your price. You approach me. And then we can negotiate from there.
It's almost so much of a... Because I do agree
with that. Because guess what? Great projects only come 2 or 3 times a year. This is what I realised. Great projects only come 2 or 3 times a year. And they're in the £3,000 to £10,000 range. And you will never, ever see those if you're asking £100 for a logo. You will never, ever see those if you're asking £100 for a logo.
I think you can build to that, though.
Fam, what's building to that? You can jump to that. You can jump.
You can.
It's not building. It's a jump. It's a value.
No, of course, but it's not because it.
It's what look.
This is the thing is I agree with you, but I'm also sympathetic to the side of my mind where I used to think differently, because a lot of what that comes from. If we're just being real, it is kind of just straight fear. Like, it's fear of not knowing your worth, not knowing what you're able to deliver exactly with your skill set. It's a self-confidence thing. It's all things said and done, a mindset issue, isn't it, really? Because that's the funny thing. It's like whenever you go into a new role or anything else, for example, this is just an example, there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, I'm nervous, I don't know what I'm doing, but then it's just that kind of, the opposite side to that is, I'm just going to figure this out. Okay. I'm going to test, I'm going to try. And really, that's the answer to that, because what? If someone does hit you up and says, I love this, how much? It's like, for an artwork, I told a guy like, what? This was a cover, and like this was much lower than really what he was asking for, but I was like 400. My man aired, and I was like, cool. If you can't pay that, what do you want? Like,
yeah,
you want £30 artwork? Get the out of here, man.
Genuinely,
it's like from what he was seeing, because what he saw, what I had put up for Tate, I had done for Tate. That's what he was asking me for it based on. And so I'm like, okay, if you want something like, yeah, I can do it this much. He airtimed, and I'm like,
that is the point.
It's so funny because,
yeah, go on.
It's so funny because that, like, other than speaking about it now, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, did I charge too much? No, it's like if he's not willing to invest in what he wants to do, like that's not your problem. So
funny thing is,
you just got to test and see what you actually do think of your work. Push it, because you'll be surprised. And then when you actually do get that payment, it's like I know someone who I used to work with. Like, he didn't want to do any freelance work. He's getting too much freelance work, so he's like, nah. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like double my price and see if people just say no and leave me alone. They started paying him. They actually started paying, and he was like, they were offering so much for what he was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just get in the bag, you know what I mean? And isn't that interesting that he tried to make it so they wouldn't, and
exactly.
He brought so much value in his work. He was like,
that's it, fam.
Oh, cool, yeah, I'll pay for it.
He's probably even still undervalued himself. This is the point. Mm-hmm. Like, this speaks to people's mental fortitude. Mm-hmm. This speaks to people's understanding of not just their worth, but their understanding of what value actually means. When you understand the word, when you understand what someone can bring to the table, what can you bring to the table, and what it's literally like, are you balanced enough in yourself to be able to say no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you balanced?
Wow.
And if you're unbalanced, then you're gonna really take anything, all the shit that people give you. But
I think that's the curse of the amateur, because you always hear that, and it's like, just say yes to everything, do everything.
Yeah,
but
hell fucking no, bro.
There's got to be a point. Like, okay, fair enough. Like, if you're just stepping in and you're trying to learn, you're actually at that point where you're trying to learn. Yeah, do everything. That's really when you do need to be taking on projects bigger than you. You always need to be kind of taking projects that are a bit ahead of you, I'd say, because you want to always be kind of testing yourself, pushing yourself. But especially when you're like fresh in the game or whatever, and whatever you're doing, yeah, okay, take that on, push your skills, learn a bit more. But once you know you've got a skill set, you do have to say no to stuff, even if you're not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
money is not
world,
money is not flowing in more times when people take the risk on themselves.
Yeah.
Most people don't have a cushion when like they know that they need to take the risk on themselves. It's like, really and truly, you can wait till you have a cushion. Like me, I was forced to wait. I was forced to wait 2 years before I got a computer. Mm-hmm. And now I'm working at a pace, like, and it's not like I'm building up to anything. I didn't build up. I'm consistently adding to my process because I know what my level is, and I'm consistently approaching that from the standpoint of me knowing that I've got all of these amassed skills. Like, because what you're talking about really is like, because I remember, because I have had the opportunity to work for myself since I was 21. So when I was doing the T-shirt thing in Cardiff and I was selling T-shirts to people, and I was like, the one customer that I remember the most is...
Or was he like consistent, like he was always... Or was it just like a one-time?
Yes, it was just like a one-time thing. He was deaf, and he wasn't like he obviously spoke English, but he was just deaf and he couldn't really hear properly. So that means he couldn't speak. He couldn't hear himself to speak. So we had to write down what we wanted from him and what he wanted from us. And at the end of the day, he got what he wanted and we got what we wanted. Mm-hmm. And deposit and everything. It wasn't just and this was back then. I was asking for deposits because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's not something that you build up to. It's like you need a deposit, 50 to 100% even. If you're that valuable, if you're that even, if you've built up that much trust even in your community, your deposit is between 50 and 100%, not 20%. Because people can scam you for your time. And my time is so valuable. And my products are so high quality that I need to know that that thing is there. And there's obviously other people where it's like, sometimes I didn't put a price that I knew that thing was worth, but I did put a price higher than what I knew that I was doing at that moment. Only because, like, fam... Like, because to me, in my mind, the number is so arbitrary. It doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you know that when you look in my eyes, that I'm going to deliver you a great piece of work. And if you don't see that, then that's okay. If you think that my number is too high, that means that you don't value me enough. And I value me, so I don't need you to start putting a number on me. And I don't need your money like that. I don't need anybody's money like that. What I need is to know that I value myself. Because if I start putting other people's idea of my value
into your work,
I will literally...
It gets destroyed.
I would be disrupted from my core. I would be rotten on the inside. I'd be actively killing myself doing all of these things for other people when it's like...
Got me for the longest time, bro. Like, I'm just being real. That got me for the longest time. That's what I mean. That's what I only just feel like I've, in the past couple of years, actively been going against that, you know? Trying to move against that. Because it's so easy to grab and it's so easy to fall into, And it's so true. Like once you take the focus on the reaction and you're being reactive, that's the main difference, isn't it? Are you being reactive in the way you put things out, in the way you create your ideas? Are you being reactive? Because if you're always chasing what you think you should be doing, or seeing the way someone talks or reacts to it, or like even just a facial expression, like they're like, oh yeah, that's, you know what I mean? You start reacting and shifting your whole movement, like your whole vision to that, mate, that's a problem. That is such a problem.
Yeah.
You have to have your plan, and that's the plan. Like that's the,
literally,
that's the path. No, there's no point in straying off the path. Like,
this is my shit.
Only change the path when you know it's good to change the path, not because of anyone else's reaction.
Literally, because I know people want to work with me, but right now is not the time. Like, let me have my year. Let me have my year of like just eliteness, pure eliteness. By me, for me, all of this. Like, because I'm beginning to have to accept that I have to do all of these things by myself. Like, I've always loved this idea of like having a team of great people around me to like help me finish work and stuff. But in general, it's like, I'm gonna have to do all of these things by myself. Like, and I'm obviously doing them by myself, and I'm obviously a lot capable to do it by myself. But it's just one of those ones where I've always wanted to share success. I've never really, like, when it came to doing t-shirts or even doing like my handyman business over here, it's like I'm not designed to just make money for me. Like, when I've got a second, I think about how I can make money for them. That's literally my point. It's like, me making money is nothing to, like, it's really nothing to me. Me making money is a luxury. I know how to make money for me. How can I make money for one other person, and then how can I extrapolate that and multiply it across the board of maybe 1,000 people, and keep that high level of value? How do I build an organization with a great management structure so that it doesn't topple? And it all starts with me. And when it comes to all of these things, when I start saying whatever moves your dial or your mind's a palace, it's like you have to build a structure around yourself, and it's got to be swimming. Like, everything's got to go swimmingly. Like, literally, I imagine an ocean in my mind that's full of just life, basically. It's just full of life.
The ecosystem, innit? It's the ecosystem.
Literally.
It's the ecosystem.
And that's what I was building up to that.
Oh, sorry.
But it's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Spoilers again.
We're there now. We're there.
0.2 spoilers.
I've
got one more strike.
It's okay. It's okay. We're there now. So it's the life that you build around yourself, and then when other people want to infiltrate that bubble with you and your people, them and your team, it's like, all right, okay, you can see us all working together. You can see that we're doing amazing work here. You want us to work for you, so that means that's going to take a little bit of time away from this thing. So how much money are you willing to give up for us to be distracted from this thing that we're heading towards? And that is the point. And we all get paid. We all get paid. Maybe 2 or 3 times what we're worth. Because it's not that you get paid what you're worth. It's either you get underpaid and then you get overpaid. There's no middle ground. You get underpaid for a long time and then you get overpaid. Like, and that is literally it. And me knowing that a lot of my value is in my ideas, I have to make sure that stays there, that people know, yo, I did this, bro. Literally. This is my words right here. As you can see, I wrote this. Here's a timestamp. I wrote this then. It took me 3 months to write this piece of work, this article on my website. It took me a year to write this book. Took me 6 months to write do this cover, blah, blah, blah. It just like I've been discovering this structure for the 20s, the culture of the 20s for the past 3-4 years now. And this is this and that is that, and you gotta understand that I've pieced this together in this certain type of way, and this is something that lives in the space of my mind that all ideas come from. And knowing that, like having that cemented, and because obviously this is the part, because Tyler the Creator said it in that interview as well. He was like, he needed to put mixed, mastered, engineered, all of that stuff by him on his albums, and that because he needs
15 years ahead.
Yeah,
15 years
you've got
ahead.
to be thinking in that space and time. Like this year is gonna be the most elite years. Like next year's so out of control. But
that's
this
why
year,
the money doesn't matter. That's why the people's opinions don't matter. You know what I mean? What they're saying, even if what they're saying theoretically, systematically, mathematically is correct.
Bro, people have been telling me for the past 3 months.
You just got.
They can't even keep up with my blogs.
Do your plan. You got to do.
They can't keep up with the amount of articles that I'm putting out.
Because you're not doing it because you're trying to cater.
Yeah.
You're not catering to a need. You're putting out there what the ideas you formulated.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen.
Yeah.
Based on things coming. You're projecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, and it's like...
It's the real stuff.
And I've noticed that when you start getting on this elite level, per se, it's like everybody is trying to... Everybody wants to see you now. For some reason, all your peers want to see you. Like, because they didn't see you before, but now all your peers want to see you. Like, because I realized that people didn't know it was the fact that I just didn't have a computer before. But now I've got a computer now. I've been this person that I've been telling you I've been for the past 3 years. But now I've got a computer, it's like I'm showing you that I'm this person. It's not, I haven't slowed down. There's only been an uptick in the amount of work that I've done. There's not this, what is it, like, it's not, oh, is he gonna slow down? No, bro. This isn't even my speed. This isn't even my, like, you guys don't even understand. This is not my speed yet. This isn't even my speed. I'm trying to get into gear 1. It's sticking, and it's like I'm not even in gear 1 yet.
That's it.
It's like, what would it be like if I had someone to do admin or something, or if I had just another person? I don't know what they would do. What if it was like 2 people, or 2 of me? Like, and what if there was just the creative side, and then the organizational side? And it's like one of those ones where it's like, okay, like there's because once people see there's a vision there, then there's no point for them to be there anymore. It's like you're meant to understand from the beginning. But yeah, back to the point, it's like people can't keep up, and people get frightened when they can't keep up. People because the weirdest part, because I told you this the other day, sort of thing. Wait, was it you or someone else? Basically, when I say you got, it was in London Bridge. You got to say it, and then you got to do it. Just say it, just say it, because to you it's arbitrary. To you it's just like, because you've already completed it in your mind, and then when you start putting a date on it and you start going la-di-da-di, and it's like it's just you skip it, doing a stroll in the park type thing.
I think that is the key. I think that's one of the biggest keys to anything in life.
Because
to
really,
achieving anything. It sounds so basic.
So arbitrary. Like, time is even arbitrary. Time is a performance. To me, time is a tool of performance. It is not like something that I base my skill level on. Time is a tool of performance. So I don't need to get this done in 9 months. I'm going to, but I don't need to. It could be 2 months. Could be 18. like that this thing can come out. But I'm just saying that it's going to be 9.
9, yeah.
I'm just saying, look, this is.
But the thing about that is then it gives you. You have milestones. You're time blocking, and it gives you. It's like when you're watching series or episodes. It's like this happens in this part. You know what I mean? It's almost like chapters, and it gives you a structure and a path to walk. It kind of gives you lights as signals to in the path which you're going to walk. It's like me moving out in November, like me planning to go to LA in a couple of years. Like I'm putting those markers down. Like with my story, I'm fleshing it out. But like next month, I'm going to be doing a beat a day. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be getting into the swing of making tunes again, and that's the next thing I'm going to be recording the whole process.
Yeah.
Like as much as I possibly can of each one. But that's my plan. Like I'm going to be.
What recently? In recent time?
What do you mean?
As in, are you going to be doing that lately? Or
going to be doing that lately? No, yeah. Well, I'm finishing these like projects, but that's the next main thing I'm getting on, because like where I've been doing a lot of freelance stuff, I haven't been making as much music as I wanted to, just in terms of the idea. And I've just been it's been nice in a lot of ways, because I've just been putting together, like I haven't even been drawing. I've been sketching and stuff and ideas for it, but I haven't really been drawing for me either. But I've just been coming up with the basis of everything that I'm wanting it to be around. So now it's about pure experimentation, pure ideation, getting used to. This is all part of the plan, man. Doing this podcast. Why I knew this was correct now is because I'm ready now to start being like on social media, not to absorb it or be in it per se, but to start building a community, like putting my ideas out there, not just through my art, but through my connections with all the other people that I create with and that I work alongside. And now it's just about I've built the skills, but it's getting my craft to a point where I'm in the zone. It's like for me now, it's time to work towards that. And it's not about preparing anymore. It's about being in the game. You know what I mean? It's like there's training, and it's like that thing I'm talking about. When you're at the beginning of your craft or at your game, you got to do everything because you need to learn the skills to get ready for game time. You know what I mean? The season's coming. You know what I mean? Or the trials for the getting picked for the teams are coming. You need to get your skills up. But once your skills are there and you've done the team pickings, like now it's like you got to get ready for game time. So
I've been telling people this for like the past how many months now? I'm gonna call it 8. 8 months. I've been telling people literally by 2022, get everything prepared. Get as high as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You need to get as high as you possibly can. That's all I'm gonna say now, because like I've been telling people the whole thing, and it's like, and they can be weird about it, but I'm telling everybody, it's like, look, 2022 is it. It is like that's the starting line. Like you, bruv, if you thought I started now, if you thought now is the time that I started, this is warm up. This is me flexing these execution muscles. Like literally, I only knew high level execution from, like I only knew that's what I was supposed to do, because there's things that you want to do, which is probably do like one project a year or something, and then there's things that you're just supposed to do. And you have to do everything at the highest level you possibly can. 100%. And what one of those things is for me is execution. And I have to execute with speed, because that has always been my ethos. It's get good and then get to that place fast. So when I was doing marketing and promotions and stuff, it was like, okay, I know the ropes now. Now let me do all of that creative stuff that comes around it. And then now let me be the best promoter on the block. Now let me let everybody know who I am. Now let me, when I walk into a club, everybody knows who I am. Like those type of things. Like those are the type of staples in promotion. People know you. People want to buy. And I didn't even sell tickets, but I made a lot of money. I made a stupid amount of money.
And just from promoting?
Just from being myself. Like, I'm not gonna say how I made money because that's nobody's business. But it was lit.
Pharmaceuticals.
It was lit. Oh wow, yo! But it was lit. But yeah, and it's like, so it's like get good, and then be the best, and like just be a high level. Program yourself for speed. I've always been programmed for speed. And even when I was learning, when I was doing personal development early or something like that, it's like I need to learn as fast as I possibly can. And that's like literally where I need to be.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, I think that's important for every stage, no matter what. Like learning is just what's the word? Like that's a given. That's always going to be something that's.
I don't know if it's a given. It's a given to who?
Well, it should be. It should be. You always have to be.
Okay, like, let's get into this topic because we say that, but it's really not the case. It's not everybody that chooses to learn.
Yeah, but okay.
No, it's not. Yeah, but let's tell them like the importance of it. Let's actually.
No, not everyone chooses to, but I'm saying it should be. Hey, whether it is or not, that's a different story. Whether it is for a select group of people or not is a different story.
Okay, give reasons. Articulate the reasons why that is important, because it's not really a given. Think if you're 15 and you're listening to this
it's like when we're saying with words. Just being conscious of what you take in, the information you take in, what you absorb. It's like that's why I don't even really like watching stuff like Love Island. Really, yeah, I might watch it from time to time. Like, just a bit interesting to be like, oh God, roll my eyes a bit, and it's like just a bit of entertainment. But it's like with your vocabulary, what you choose to take in will help you better articulate the things you think about, the words you have. And even just on the basis of thinking, it's like I've only just sort of had and found the ability to notice when I get like anxious about stuff, or like things that are coming up, like even if it was like interviews or meetings where I've got to be with clients or whatever, just being able to have the self-awareness and notice and understand that, and have the conscious awareness to be able to go, oh, I know why that is, and literally it goes. That same thing applies to your craft and the way you move forward in life. Just everything from life to your career to your relationships. You learning and understanding things better is what takes you on each step higher along the way. Like, you can't do bigger things with the same thinking you have at one particular level. And what learning does is it literally changes your brain and your paradigm. This same thing when we're talking about a thesis, that came from all the things that I was putting together in my own world, the things I was reading, the things I was listening to, and I still think I'm actually quite bad. I'm quite bad at learning actually, because what I don't do is I don't focus enough on particular things. Make sure that I know I understand that, and then move on to something else. Or, even if that's just a short period of time, I take what I need from that thing and then move on. And that, journaling for me has helped, because now, and even this podcast, just being able to, like, even with the past 3 episodes, I feel like I've changed from thinking so much about, like, oh, how I sound or what I said, to just saying the things that I think about instead of worrying about how it sounds. That's the whole process of learning. And when it comes to a craft, you understanding the underpinnings, the things that are coming in the future, what's the essence of what's going on in your industry or your creative world or even your own artistic message, how that's evolving. You learning is going to be able to is going to let you be able to contextualize that. And when you're able to contextualize that better, people are going to connect with it better. Not necessarily that you are doing it for them, but when you're able to contextualize it better, you're going to feel better about it. That's what's going to take you to a better and higher level. Like, that's just the way I look at learning. That's the way I look at getting better. That's my perspective on it. And I'm trying to get better at that each day, better at contextualizing things.
Let me see if I can just adjust the microphone. Check 1, 2. Is this better? Okay. Yeah. When we articulate ourselves, because like I just feel sometimes that because see, look, here's the thing. I realize now that me and you are in the flow. We're in the slipstream, basically. You know, like in Finding Nemo, where the turtles hit that wave and like they're going as fast as they possibly can, basically, and they're swimming super fast. That is the slipstream, right?
I would say I'm coming in. I can see the slipstream. I like before I couldn't, but yeah.
But what I'm no, there's a difference because you are in the slipstream. I can tell you, and what you're thinking about is the tunnel vision, because that comes after the slipstream. It's like when you may be in the slipstream and you're in the flow state. So basically, what I mean by that, how to articulate it differently, is to say you aren't so concerned with everything else around what you're doing, or even the past you that you were. Yeah. So even the you that was in that mind of learning and trying to figure out articulation even, or that person that was like just hungry and just trying to hit notes, but instead you're hitting walls. Like you're not in that. You're not in that. Yeah, it's like, so you're in the slipstream and you're just trying to. You're really trying to get into that wave, and you can't get into that wave if you're you can't get into that wave if you're thinking about everything that was past. So when I want us to articulate about learning, it's like, because I know that there are people that are just not in the codes. Like me and you can speak the codes all as long as we want, but there are certain things that just have to be taught in a certain type of way. So when I talk about learning, like, because there's how you learn, which is one thing, and there is what you're supposed to learn, which is another thing. And then there's like all of these other things around it. So how you learn is like one thing. And let me try and talk about that while being in this state, because me, like you learned recently that I listened to the podcast, or I listened to podcasts or YouTube videos at 1.5 speed, right? So it's like me, I can,
and I tried it. It feels
I can listen to information at speed, only because when I was really young, and by young I literally mean in my early 20s, I had to force myself. Literally, I had to force myself to listen to audiobooks all the way through at once. I remember there was an 8-hour, I don't even remember what audiobook it was. It was just 8 hours long, and I was like, I have to finish this today. I was like, I have to finish this today, because I couldn't listen to things for about more than 10, 15 minutes.
You'd zone out.
And I'd have to break. I literally had to break the mold of how I was listening.
So I want to ask about that actually. So was it a case of when you started like noticing you was like zoning out or whatever, you literally sat down and was like, I'm gonna sit and listen to this? Or was you just doing how you would usually do, but chose to make sure?
Okay, there's a difference. There's a difference between just even being able to listen all the way through and focus all the way through. Because here's the thing: I could watch a TV show in the background and do my work. This is like back at uni times, obviously. I can do my animation work and I can listen to a TV show in the background. But when it came to learning, shit that I'm supposed to learn, then it was a different experience. The audio didn't go in the same way. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel right. So and even before that, like I started with, because this was back when 50-minute YouTube videos was not a thing. There was no 2-hour YouTube videos back then even. You couldn't do that type stuff. So I had to literally remove myself from all those things and start being a person that's able to listen to this thing in one sitting. And after that, like now I don't need to listen to stuff in one sitting, but it's just the idea of being able to meditate on one thing in that particular space. So, and how I got there was like, it was just like breaking practice. So there was a 3-hour one, and then I would listen to that, and then I'll listen to that again, and I'll listen to that again, because I had to time myself.
So you would be, okay.
Literally, I was just I would say I'm gonna start this at the beginning of the day, 3-hour one, and by the end of the day I should finish it. And that's like
Wait, what do you mean? So like you would be like an hour, you'd stop, but you'd
no,
make sure you listened intently.
I would zone out. I would do other things.
Oh,
and
so
then
you would listen to it as many times as you needed to until you was sure you knew all the things.
No, bro, I'm literally mean. I was not able to focus on this thing. I was not able to focus on the book. I was not able to focus on listening.
I get that, but I mean, like, what was it that
so
you
I had to pause. Okay, yeah, what I did was it was that I just chipped away at the time that it took me to get to that place. So it would take me 15 hours to listen to that 3-hour audio. And then the next day, it'd probably be like 8 hours. And then the next day, it will be like 4 hours or something. And then like 3 hours on the nose. And then I'll listen to a 2-hour one. And then I'll listen to the 2-hour one over and over again. And the 2-hour one just happens to be... What book is that? It doesn't matter. It's arbitrary. But just having those days where I was just focusing on those singular books, just to bring myself to a place where I could not just be there, but I could listen to the thing. And then the next stage was me actually listening to the book and writing about the book. So I had to take notes.
I think that's a big thing that sort of helped.
I had to listen, and I had to be like, oh shit, that's a good idea. And then it starts becoming a game.
That's the funny thing.
Then I start hitting notes.
There's a different, like, because when I was a bit younger and I first started reading, like, books, like, you know, I mean, these self-help books or whatever, or you just books which talked about psychology or the mind or just information, just general things where I was trying to learn about something. A lot of the time when you're doing these things, I know for me, it was a case of like, this is why this is these exact times where you need to make sure your vocabulary is on point so you can say whatever it is you need to say at any particular given time. But
some of us have had more practice than others.
Don't make me expose you right now, yeah? I got my phone camera, bro.
I am not this. I've not been this person all the time,
bro.
Okay,
but
yeah, go on.
I used to not like. I would take it or I'd take notes, but there's a different thing about internalizing something when you're approaching a bit of information or something you're reading or something. It's like it even happens with videos. Like that's why I've tried actually to stop watching YouTube videos whilst I'm working or doing stuff. Like
really
because I'm either going to make sure I listen to that. Like when I'm working in particular, say if I'm cooking or something or I'm eating, I'll listen because then like I'm not. But when I'm working and I want to make the most of that, like I might have new ideas that are coming whilst I'm working on that. Like I want to just have that energy for that. And it's not just, like at the end of the day, I'm either going to put that energy into one or the other. Like I'm either feeding my soul or I'm feeding my creativity for my work. Like I've really started to notice that's how I'm doing that. That might change in the future. I know it might when I'm, you know what I mean, as things progress. But at the moment now I'm finding it's better when I put on my energy. I just work quicker. I just get stuff done quicker. Like what would have took me a couple of hours, it cuts down in half. I get it done in hours.
But this is the thing. It's like that's not how it started. Like you can't. There's not slipstream focus doesn't come within within moments of you when you're trying to learn, because there is no existence of focusing on your work and then focusing on feeding your mind. You're just trying to get to a place where you can just put yourself into a mode of thinking, because you've built up a certain type of mental toughness, like elasticity with your thoughts, and being able to just live in a moment for so long. Like you're not telling about the years that you've spent meditating. Because it's not like you just decided one day, I'm going to focus on my work and I'm going to focus on feeding my soul. You've meditated for years. And this is the type of stuff that you need to be able to articulate, is the fact that you've been meditating for years. It's not like, and that skill from meditating is transferable to work.
Yeah, no.
And then you meditate on your work, and then you meditate on feeding your soul, and then you meditate. That's how I'm trying to come across here. It's like, it doesn't just start at, it doesn't just end up in that place, because that's where I am, and there's a place higher than that, but that's the place you exist. But right now, you need to think about, or what I'm thinking about is, how was I in uni, in my dorm room? Because I would work in my room in my boxers, pure heat. Literally, I was in accommodation, so I could have the heat on 24/7, and no one could say shit to me. I would be heat, no clothes on, just
born
boxers.
from the fire.
Trust me. And I would just be working. I would literally just be on my laptop in the dark with my lamp on, working, killing my shit off. Literally, just not my actual shit, but my work.
Call it multitasking, bruv. Call it multitasking.
You know the way there, fam. You know, you have to, because the lingo is a bit nuts. Yeah. So I had to be able to make sure that I was focusing on work, and I had to make sure that, because back then it wasn't even like, because I told you already, when I've told you just before, it's like it wasn't just that I was focusing on the book. It was like I needed more. Work was so boring that I needed more. I needed a different challenge. And the challenge needed to come to me in one form or the other. And then that's when I started reading and all of that type of stuff, because I just needed more. I needed to feed my mind more. It could have been...
Was that third year?
Yeah. This was 2014.
Bro, we started doing this at the same time. That's so crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't know. I didn't even know. I swear to God, I didn't know. You see how I guessed the exact year? That's because I knew. It's so crazy how paralleled. It's so weird, like our lives kind of do in different ways. But it's like, bro, this guy's got the exact same bed sheets as we hasn't even know. Like, like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy because at that time, I remember that was when I was first questioning, and like, for me, it wasn't boredom. It's because I was questioning, like, I had this question. I was like, I was second year of uni. I knew my third year was coming up. I just moved out for second year. And I was like, is there more than this? Is there more? Is this it? I'm just going to finish uni. I didn't really have a true solid, like,
yeah.
And in a weird way, I did kind of feel a bit depressed. I wouldn't say I was exactly what, but I started to question that. You know what you're doing? It's like Googling stuff and shit.
Yeah, fam. See, the funny thing
that's when I started
it was second year with me as well, where it was like, does this not get any harder? And I would be holding my head, being like, this is too easy. Is this life? Is this the level of life that we're at, where it's just so easy? And it's not like anything has been harder than stuff that I've went through in uni, yeah? Like this, to me, it feels like first year of college work. Literally, it feels like I'm doing first year college work or something. It feels like I'm me now and I'm doing first year college work. Because I'm like, whoa, like I can do this at speed, kill it off. And I'm just making sure that I'm being able to get all the kinks out till I hit a stage where I'm till I hit a point where I know, okay, this is where the real work starts, or getting all of, here's a better way to say it, get the little stuff perfected, so that when bigger stuff comes along, then it doesn't feel that much of a challenge. Like all of this little things, all of these getting the ideas out, like getting the codes, because this is the point. It's like having the codes perfected, having the principles perfected is so paramount to get the codes correct. You need to get the principle correct. You need to get the most simplest things done right.
Speak on the codes, bro.
You got
We need context.
and no, because this is what we're doing. That's why I said you got to get into just learning. It's like you need to get into just the idea of
the codes
just speaking and deciding I'm gonna write.
Specific to you. The codes are specific.
No, the codes aren't even specific to me. The codes are specific to everybody. They're a everybody thing. Everybody should know how to learn. If you're trying to get better, everyone should know how to learn.
Yeah, but my point is like, it's you can't say what the codes are per se because it's just learning. Like it's like
no,
what
it's
you're
not,
choosing
it's
to
not
learn.
Is
that what you're saying?
It's practicality, philosophy, execution, responsibility, discipline, like structure.
Those principles.
All like those are the keys to everything. But people need it in different forms and different ways to be able to translate to them. Me, all I needed was Art of War. As soon as I read Art of War, like life, like it was just like, okay. Like me personally, I need things said in the most concentrated form as possible. I can pick out simple words and I can break that down into an extended essay. Like, because it's not like I've been speaking like I am now for the whole time. I used to speak in parables. I've been like people used to say I spoke in parables. And me and Tyler, I would say one thing, and me and Tyler would have a whole conversation off that one thing, thinking that we were arguing, but we were never arguing. Like it was just that the communication of that one thing was just abstract, and I had to break down the abstract. So
it took me a while to not just understand the way you
he
speak.
thought I was bullshitting more time.
Bro, it's crazy. It's
Tyler
actually
thought
mad.
I was bullshit. So,
but I begin to understand, and sometimes it is just as simple as, well, look, you needed to get better at deciphering what you were saying, or saying it in a particular way. I had to say
I needed to say it in a way that you guys understood.
It was like it's like for me, it was like understand. Okay, sometimes when you say stuff, I'm not gonna get it initially. You know, I'm not gonna.
No, and this is why I was so proud of the thesis conversation, because it is not every time that it's been like that.
No.
That is.
Well, that was when we first started because I hadn't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
So we first started like linking up again, and we was chatting.
Yeah.
And it's funny actually because, in a way, it is kind of serendipitous.
Yeah.
Because from that conversation now, that's kind of basically that's what ultimately that initial conversation is what started the podcast. Really, I think at its core.
Yeah. Because so when I get and getting back into the. Yeah.
I'll read your mind.
Getting back into the just the idea of learning, like just wait 2 seconds.
Yeah. Pause.
Yeah, putting it back, just when I'm watching something, when I got to the stage, I was able to listen to something for 3 hours. Then I would treat it like an album. I literally, my iPod 4, I think it was an iPod Mini 4, so the old one from like 2006. I used to put music on that with a 15-pin iPod thing. Not music, sorry. I used to put audiobooks. I deleted all of my songs. And, okay, yeah. Little sidetrack. Them times, I had to stop listening to music. I stopped watching TV shows and I stopped watching anime. I said to myself that if I am going to get better, I need to stop communicating with the bullshit. I switched off all notifications on my phone. I switched off all notifications of Instagram, all notification of Facebook, Twitter, everything. I even possibly deleted those apps. I didn't go on those apps.
So what made you come back to those?
All
like what?
Like when I was ready.
Yeah.
I was just ready to go back.
But when you felt you were ready to come back, was it because you felt like you had gotten to a point where that wouldn't affect you in any way, shape, or form, like, or was it that you knew how to use these things?
I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know, like, because once I went off, then going back was the hardest part, because I had to like refigure out everything. But let's not skip this step. It's like I had to make sure that I said, if I'm going to watch or listen to something, it has to be of the substance that comes from this thing. So it had to be a philosophy, not podcast, book, audio book or YouTube video. It had to be a psychology, even more so, because psychology was my main one, the one that I learned to the highest degree. So, it had to be a psychology lecture. I had to go to the lecture theatres and go to a psychology person. I had to read a psychology book. I had to think in the way that a psychologist would, just for fun. Like behaviorism, just to tell you which part I'm most adept at, is behaviorism. Behaviorism is what I know as just where a lot of my early ideas come from, is like just the way people behave. But yeah, I had to make sure that I wasn't absorbing social media, not because it was bullshit or all of that stuff. I just needed to make sure that I was focused. I had to grow focus. I had to practice my discipline. I had to stretch all of those muscles, or else like I just didn't want to collapse. I didn't want to taint the idea of learning and participating, because then when you start learning psychology, you understand everything you put into your mind is actually you learning. And then I used to listen to audiobooks in my sleep. I would just keep it on, and I would have a playlist, and they would play overnight because I don't sleep more than like 8 hours anyways. So it would be like 6 hours. So it would be a 6-hour audio podcast or 8-hour one. And then I'd wake up and I'd be in the shower and I'd take my laptop and pull it in my bathroom, and I'd be listening to it while I was in the bathroom. So all day something consistent was playing. This is, let's say, between 2014 to about 2016 maybe, or 17, like just on the basis of pure learning. Just pure learning, because before that, the case was I would learn about interior design, I would learn about architecture, I would learn about body dynamics, I would learn all the stuff that you learn in animation. But when it comes to the studious things, like the real academic things that you write about, not saying that animation can't get academic, because it was the basis of the reason that I was able to understand these are how else, yeah. So
like through animation you learn how to learn, basically.
Yeah. It was the reason like my muscles are the way that they are, because now I know what I need to do to get to a good stage of this thing. But yeah, and that was it. Like I just had to be persistent in my pursuit, not of information, but of the discipline of like activity. The discipline of a singular activity. So I had to overachieve in my listening, and now I can. And then there was this thing, like I forget where it was. It was like it was like 2016. I would like read stuff, and then I'd be translating it, because this was when I used to talk differently. Like if you like like before I was speaking in parables, and when I was in this mode, it was like I would speak differently. My words were different. The way I would articulate myself was different. I would like be erect. I was super duper old school, and I was like I wasn't fun. Like none of this was fun. None like I'm not, like I wasn't a fun guy. I don't think I was a fun guy. I wasn't anyone's best mate in the club, like learning all of these type of things. I was by myself. People missed me from all of that stuff. Like and I just had to ensure that the time I spent learning was valuable. The last years of Cardiff were valuable because I was able to do that. I was able to write about books. I was able to like just pick a chapter, not a whole book, but a chapter, look at that chapter and write about like just something that caught my mind and then just continue writing about that stuff until like my mind ran out of the idea, and then I'd flick the page and just continue listening like arbitrarily just and until something caught my mind, and then I'd go through ideas, and then I'd record voice notes, and then I'd record that voice note and I'd be talking about all of these things, and then I would cut the voice note off, and then I would just listen to my audiobook again or something like that. But it was just this idea of taking notes from the things, from the people that I'm listening to. I'm making sure that was cemented in a certain type of way. So not relaying the information that I'm listening to, but making sure that I vocalized what I was learning. Like, and how, well, not even what I was learning, how I interpreted what was told to me. That's what it was. I would vocalize or I write down what was taught to me, because as I said, it was like the simplest things. So when it comes to all of the old books, when it comes to like when I read Terrain in Art of War, I see that when I'm talking to people, it's like it's talking about relationships between one person and another. And I see that with people that I'm speaking. I see what type of terrain that I'm on when I'm speaking to someone now. And that is the essence of all, like, that's the essence of all, like, kind of communication terrain. So it's just making sure that I had that down pat.
The context.
And then, yeah, I could contextualize everything due to the fact that I've been writing about it. And like, because there's really only 3 or 4 books that you should read or listen to. Me, there's only like 3 or 4 books, and you concentrate on those books. And if you read them and then you write about the things that you're learning, you contextualize it to you today, and and then you sit down and you meditate on your past self, and you reconcile all the things that you reconciled your whole human, as in you reconcile all the things you did when you were a kid, that, you know, when you have those little flashbacks and you're like, you remember some dumb shit that you done when you were 12 or something. You have to reconcile all of, like me, I've reconciled that. That doesn't happen to me anymore. Like, there's another stage after that, but right now, it's like the understanding that you have to be able to have a singular approach to how you learn. For me, it was audio. For someone else, it can be reading. Someone else, it can be watching. For someone else, it can literally be like, for me, it's like someone talking to them physically. And that is most of the point of a podcast to me, somewhat. And I have, how do I explain this? I feel like I have a responsibility to be able to teach people the way that I learned these things. Because to me, the learning is free. The execution is not. Like, I can't teach you how to execute. I can teach you how to focus on your singular idea. Because once you focus on the singular idea of learning, you can focus on the singular idea of executing. But if you're not even able to pick up a book, and if you're not even of the mindset that you can pick up a book and learn something from it,
well, you still have to execute when learning.
And this is let's not get too far ahead, because that's when you have to contextualize things, and some people aren't even there yet. It's like you need to have the mind to say, I can pick up, and that's why. And the reason why I love and accept the name Culture and Camaraderie is because that's a complicated name to write. So you have to be qualified to write that name down.
Yeah.
You have to qualify your mind to say, like, you can think it's a stupid name, but it qualifies someone to actually listen to it. because you actually have to think about what you're writing about when you're writing it.
Yeah, and you understand when you're in the conversation, you can understand why it's even called that.
But yeah, it's like making a distinction, like, because I had to distinguish myself as a learner first. I had to distinguish myself as an apprentice first. Me, I've never been the type of person that wanted to be a first. I've never wanted to be the leader or the number one. I've always liked being like the reserved consigliere. That's literally what I see myself as, is like just counsel of the person that's talking.
What's a consigliere?
A consigliere
Word of the day, kids.
is a counsel. It's like, well, the way I use it is wartime consigliere.
Okay.
I used to tweet about it a lot, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's just the counsel of a high-ranking official. Okay. Do you want me to spell it? Do you want to make it a spelling bee?
No, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, fam.
A member of a mafia family
who
serves as an advisor to the leader and resolves disputes within the family.
Yeah. I'm hitting them folk right now.
This is when we need the camera.
Anyways, yeah. I don't know why man trying to trip me up, man. The levels of articulation that I've got is just so wild.
It wasn't trip up. I was just, we're talking about you need to learn words. Whilst we're at it, we might as well teach the definitions. You get me? Like, can you put that on charge?
Yeah. So, like, just like I had to and in saying that, because the reason I said consigliere was because I just wanted to be a second. Like, I didn't mind being a salesperson per se. I didn't mind working for someone else. This is the thing. Like you can speak about me now and my adamancy in getting paid what I'm worth, but when I was like, 16. Like, because before, when I was in school, I used to sell sweets and I used to sell them what I wanted to sell them as. But when I was 16, when I had like I was even 15. I was going to be 16 when I had my first job in Marks and Spencer's. I would do that to the highest level possible. I would start the shows and be like, what's next? And be like, well, you did that fast. And then they'll go and check my work and see that I actually done it the way that they told me that I was supposed to do it. And I'll say, what's next? I was like, oh, you're going to counter now. Like, choop, 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 doop, 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 doop. Boom. That's it. What's next? And then they'll see me on the counter and it's like, yo, I'm hitting KPIs. This is early days. KPIs at 15. 4'8" or some shit. Being the tiniest motherfucker out there, just running shit. And then going to the shopping mall and saying, okay, I need a job now. Like, this first year, I'll say, like, let's go get a job. And then, boom, get a job, fam. Work at balance, and it's like, whoa. I felt ill, okay. Something happened. I was ill. That doesn't mean that I can't get another job. Okay, calm. Okay, I go back to uni. I want to go gym. Okay, how do I go gym? I need to get a job. Okay, I got a job there. I felt ill, so I just need to make sure that I don't get ill and all of this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I got a job now. I work at, Abercrombie and Fitch branch. I work the night shift. I do my own uni stuff during the day, and I work the night shift. Boom, hitting all my KPIs there. Moving into promotions afterwards. From what's post-Christmas? Like after first term, in second term, that's when I started doing promotions. Okay, I have to sell tickets now. I was like, this shit ain't for me. I need to be on the roads. I need to be communicating with people. I don't really like knocking on doors, all of this stuff. All right, like, it's not as much money, and I don't get as much don't get as much for it. But I know what my skills were. My skills were the communication. It wasn't the selling of things particularly, even though I did grow that muscle afterwards and the T-shirt stuff and doing the business development and doing the marketing campaigns and all of these stuff. But during those times, I just needed to learn how to speak to people. this was before even I decided that learning was even a pursuit. But this is me distinguishing myself as a person that it needs to work. I just knew I needed to work. Didn't know what for, but I just knew I needed work. I knew that you can't go to uni and say you don't have a job, and then try and get a job after uni, only having experience in uni.
Yeah, that's facts.
And it's just like distinguishing yourself as a worker, as someone that's able to execute, as someone that's able to hit KPIs. You have to be able to do like those are the simplest of things, because when it comes to start managing a team and all of that, that's different. You start working with ideals and other people's thoughts and other people's feelings, which is like one of the hardest things that you got to do. And genuinely, you can't take that for granted. And you have to really be about it. And then when you start growing your team, 10, 12, all of that stuff, and it's like, okay, now I've got a real team about me. I've got to make sure everybody's working. And then like all of that stuff, and then it's like, okay, you got to be the best on the desk, or you got to be the best in the office, and then you got to be the best on the floor, and then you got to be the best in the building. And it's like, and then you got to be best in the sector. Then you got to be the best in the country. Then you got to be the best worldwide. And that, for me, only me personally, that is a personal pursuit of my own. If I'm in that space, that is how I would be working. That would be like the relentlessness of that pursuit, of that understanding that that's what I want. Being the best, only being the best. It's not about anything else apart from being the best in this thing. Mind you, it just happens to be art. It's really art.
Why do you think that's become the thing?
Like, it was the only thing that people. It's stuff that I spent my time on, really. Like, it's so like I really dislike it. I dislike that art was the only thing that people told me that I was good at when I was a lot better at other things. Like, because I remember in year 1 or 2, no, I was in year 1, and I would do homework, right? And I would do it in class. And I'll say, this too easy. Can I get the top set one? And then the teacher said, you can have it, blah, 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 blah. And then like some kid across the desk said, oh, why is he getting our work? And then she said, oh, he'll never be in top set anyways. He won't work with you. He'll just have to do homework. And that was like the first time I was like, so I'm trying to be better, but this woman over here that's supposed to be a teacher is already shooting my opportunity of even being the best down. So that's when, and this was like, because you know when you said that you were doing Dragon Ball Z drawings, that was around the time I would do so people would praise my Dragon Ball Z drawings. They'll praise all of my drawings and shit. They'll praise me playing recorder, but they wouldn't praise me when I was doing academic work. So that's the type of stuff that happened to me. People would praise me when, like when we were renovating my house back in the day, and then like I say, oh, this color doesn't match this, so you can't really have them together. You got to paint the walls a different color. And then my parents would be like, rah. But then when I'm like, oh, why is this? I'll be looking outside the window and asking questions about the world and stuff. And my parents didn't have answers, or the adults didn't have answers. They'll just make me be the irritant of the conversation or of the actual communication, when in fact they just didn't have the bandwidth. They just didn't explore the possibilities that there is something more there. And it's only now that I'm an adult that has agency over my own learning that I can do those type of things. But right now, like we said in the earlier version, it's like, it's not the thing that you're doing. Like, this is not where I'm going to be in 50. Like when I said, if you think this is the start now, you're kidding yourself. This is me flexing. I've only just got my computer 6 months ago. Only. I've only just like, I'm only just getting the gist of, I'm working on socials, and it's like, okay, let me make different types of fields, and then let me make, okay, this one goes on IG stories, this one goes on my blog, This one goes on YouTube. This one can go on Facebook. Okay, wait, let me make a platform for the Twitter one and all of these type of stuff. Okay, wait, what else? Let's do screen recordings and then, like, this is flexing, fam. This isn't even real execution. This is just like, let's just try a bunch of stuff. Like this conversation is like, this is us. This isn't anything else. This isn't us even flexing on anybody. Like, if we wanted to do that, we would be talking numbers. We would be like, but that's not the point. The point is like just the existence of the conversation. Like, this is not even the start. This is just, oh, okay then. Like, let's do the stretch. Let's warm up. Let's warm up, because like right now we're just in the slipstream. This isn't even the zone yet. This is not prime night at all. The event that I want to run in the end of September is not even like what my mind's eye really wants, but it's what the physical world can execute for me. But yeah, fam, that's learning.
That's it. Smashed it.
We finished?
Bro.
Yeah.
I think that's time.
All right, calm. Thank you.
Yo, look, I just want to say thanks to everyone that has been listening and sending love and good messages.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, thanks for that. Stay tuned, but we're going to be sticking with this for a while. Like, this is something we're really enjoying doing, and we're getting a lot great conversations out of it from our part. So just want to say thank you. Stay tuned for the next one. Should be next Monday.
Yes. Every Monday.
Then, stay safe.
This is Typical. NYTYPICAL.
Yeah.
NY Typical. Damilare. And
Tyler Edwards. Lax Era at Lax Era. LAX_ERA. Add it up.
And you can find us on socials, IG and Twitter at Camaraderie Pod. If you can spell camaraderie, that's great for you. You're qualified.
That's the test. This is part of the test. You know what I mean? Whether you're
There's a test
worthy to be a listener, right?
Yeah, trust me. Okay. Anyway, that's excellent, man. Have a great day. Man, 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 have a great day. Man.